Entering the Mayo experience.
Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, Week 13 rankings, debate, some news off the top, because some people don't realize this, but the show doesn't change after it's recorded. So hit the comment section, hit the description, find the links to the updated rankings. They'll be updated at the end of every single day and before the Thursday night game, in case some of the injuries changes, which leads me to the giveaways. There's two giveaways today. Number one, hit the like button. Smash that like button until it fucking breaks, all right? Number two, leave your DraftKings handle in the comment section. Number three, tell me if Marlon Mack sits this week, which we don't know yet, where you would rank either Jordan Wilkins or Nyheim Hines. Which one would rank higher, and where would you rank them in the Week 13 PPR running back rankings? Giveaway number two. If you listen to this for the audio version, which I know a lot of you do, and I always feel like I leave you guys to the side, which I definitely don't want to. We're in the race to get to 10 million downloads / listens for the year. So if you leave an iTunes review, a Stitcher review, a Podbean review, a Spotify review, wherever you want to review the audio version, you are in a separate draw for 20 DK dollars. Just leave your DraftKings handle and something nice about the show. If you give me 1 star, guess what? It's, I can rig it. I can just throw you out of the contest. So give it 5 stars. It would go a long way to help spread the word of the show. We are trying to get to that $10 million download platform. $10 million, I just retire. You would never have to hear from me again. So if you want to donate to like my GoFundMe to get me off the air, you can do that. But if in the meantime, if you just want 20 DK bucks, get in the draw by leaving an iTunes review, a Stitcher review, whatever it may be with your DraftKings handle. So I thank you very much. Few more notes. I was on Jake Ciely's podcast earlier, the All In podcast, so you can go download that. I was on with Davis Maddock last week on the Take Cast, which is still very viable right now, very evergreeny. So you can go download that podcast. And then Thursday, I will be on the No Mercy podcast with my main man, Tommy G. We had to push it 2 weeks because I lost my voice. Then it was Thanksgiving. So we're doing it this week. So I recommend you all go subscribe and download and review all 3 of those shows. I think that's enough. You think that's enough, Garion Thorne?
I think so.
I
would like to announce that I am on this podcast right now.
You have your own podcast, I think.
I do. We don't have to talk about it.
All right, we won't talk about it.
Fine.
Jake Ciely's here,
He
the
has a
guy who
podcast.
hosts the All In podcast. What's going on, Jake?
Yeah, everybody was shocked to see you as the guest, and they were pleasantly surprised.
Well, the thing is, I hoard all my guesting into like 2 weeks. And I'm doing them all over the... Now that golf's over, I have a bit more time.
It's true.
So
Yeah, you've got that little winter window, and that's about it.
yeah, everyone thinks that golf ends at like the FedEx Cup. It does not.
Did you care about Phil Tiger?
I did.
I asked him that.
I bet on Phil.
Oh, good.
Yeah, did
you bet on Phil?
I did.
I guess it's just better odds.
It was outrageous odds to bet on
Right.
Phil.
That makes sense.
So there we go. I'm doing good at these single golf events, like Ryder Cup. I won big with Phil. It's fantastic news. A lot of bankroll heading into the golf season. Unfortunately, I've pissed it all away during the football season. It's not good. Let's get into the rankings. Running backs to start off with. Yeah, you know what? Let's curb that for a second. Did you know that there was a controversy this week about people banning kickers in their... And the thing is, like, Matthew Berry came out and he said, ban kickers. Brad Evans hopped on. And then I saw Jake Ciely trying to get in there. Everyone knows that I was the one who first said ban kickers. Everyone knows this. Go fact check it. Thank you very much. I just want to set everything straight that all these people are stealing my idea. Right, Jake?
He doesn't seem happy with you.
I love, like, the worst part. It's not even that, because I know you're joking. It's the
I'm not
part where
joking. I'm putting it on wax right now. My idea.
The part where you said that Jake Ciely tried to jump in, that's the part. I actually, though, the only reason I even found out about it is because my phone was blowing up from mentions, because everybody was like, Jake Ciely, Jake. Well, actually, at All In Kid, but everybody's just like, I was getting numerous tweets. And I was like, yeah, what the hell? This has been my, just give me my one thing. I had one thing to my career, and now it's getting taken away.
Yeah, you got nothing now. It's over.
No.
It's over. Your menchies were blowing up, as Tim Andercust would say.
It's my favorite thing.
I still have them over here. My Band Kickers t-shirts that I'm selling.
See, this is all
Kickers.
This is gonna really work out well for you. Just where can people buy your shirts?
Actually, so I only have a few left because I just partnered with RotoWear to sell them on there. So There you go. If you want to go to the RotoWear site, Kenny actually even increased it a little bit. He put a little helmet on the Kung Fu kicker, which looks really nice. So very well done.
It's actually funny because I was just on the RotoWear website, and they came up with this amazing shirt about banning kickers. I don't know how they came up with it.
Their idea?
I think it's this great idea they had recently, but You should really check that out.
So if you go to RotoWire, you can buy the shirt. So Jake, the sales must be going through the roof here. This is great advertising.
It was actually one of the bigger so it's one of the bigger first day sales for branded shirts that he had nothing to do with, like that he imparted with somebody else, like not the player ones and stuff like that. So it's working well. But to your point, Garion, there's two different ones because he originally did ban Space Kickers, his own, before we like finished it. So he's got a few of those on hand. If you want that one, if you want the 8-bit Kung Fu guy, it's band kickers with no spaces.
Should we go the exact opposite direction and start supporting kickers and sell gear for that? Because I think there's a market here.
I think that I might be. I mean, Denny, that's Denny's market.
Right.
Denny is all in on. I think he writes one column a week. It's all about kickers. Just to own everybody at that point. But I mean, now the whole this is now having a cascading effect because we banned kickers a long time ago. I listened to Jake. I banned kickers in my life because it's stupid. But now people are like, get rid of defenses, get rid of tight ends. I'm waiting for the world where we don't even watch the games anymore. We don't even let them play out. Whatever my projections say, just what your score is. That's all people really want, right? They don't want to be wrong.
Oh, that's true. And I addressed that in the column because like you said, that's the thing is I even said the funniest part is that the only counter argument you get for supporting kickers is never to support kickers. It's the people that just like take it to the next level. Well, then ban defenses, just play running backs and wide receivers. Why do we do anything? Just project and they skip right past the entire part where it says add another flex, try super flex to make the quarterbacks valuable. The data that says that supposedly you can predict the kickers is actually very unreliable to start. But like that's what you said is everybody always takes it to the next level.
Would you say that kicker projections are fake news? Because I
Borderline.
would. That is exactly what I would say. I have no idea because I stopped. I don't even know who kicks for teams anymore.
Yeah.
Once I got rid of kickers,
check the link.
Yeah. You can find Jake's column up on theathletic.com. Running back rankings for week 13. Probably in. I have Kenyon Drake, Garion Johnson, Ronald Jones, Marlon Mack, Chris Thompson, Alex Collins, and Rex Burkhead, who is eligible to return this week. I have no Donta Foreman, no Darren Sproles, no Melvin Gordon, and no Leo Fournette, who may not play this week because he was throwing bows. You got too fired up, too excited.
Yeah, I don't think he wins that appeal.
Well, he is going to appeal, so we don't know as of yet. Like, Mack is super iffy. Johnson's super iffy. Ronald Jones, no one really cares about, so he doesn't matter. Chris Thompson practiced, though, already this week, which is a step in the right direction for him.
It's the most positive news we've heard out of that camp in a long time.
But anyway, this is why you have to check the updated rankings. And again, if you want to get in the giveaway, smash the like, leave your DraftKings handle. And if Marlon Mack sits, tell me where you'd rank either Naheem Hines or Jordan Wilkins. Which one would be higher, and what would their rank be? The rankings for the week. Number 1. Guess who it is, Garion?
I don't know. He sucks, I've heard.
Todd Gurley. Coming off his worst week of the season. Scored 0 points against bye. Drop him. He sucks.
Trending down.
Gurley, McCaffrey, Hunt, Barkley, Kamara, Zeke. And I think that's like the tier 1. Tier 2 would be like David Johnson, James Conner, Chubb, Phillip Lindsay, Aaron Jones, Joe Mixon, Austin Eckler, Matt Breida. The Gus Bus, number 15.
Only makes one stop at the end zone.
No, he has 2 stops now.
Oh.
We realized on Sunday he had the Gus Bus makes 2 stops. One at the yellow line for the first down marker.
Oh.
He enjoys a good 9.5 yards per carry. And the end zone.
There you go.
Unless you get Lamar. Chris Carson, Dalvin Cook, Tariq Cohen, James White, and Garion Johnson. I actually factored in Rex Burkhead coming back just a little bit. Although I think I totally forgot to put him in the rankings. But either way, I scaled down James White a little bit. I paired back Sony Michel. It's sort of a combination between almost like the Devontae Booker effect on everything, where even if he just plays 15 to 20% of the snaps, he's just hurting everyone.
Sure.
It's a bad matchup.
And I would even say Sony Michel, I don't really love necessarily this week, especially with Burkhead coming back. I just think it's his least ideal archetype of matchup.
Sex Rex is not confirmed back yet. He's eligible to play this week. He's been activated, but he may not play.
This is true. We do not know as of right now whether or not he's going to play, but you would assume that he probably has a small package of plays, as teams like to say.
Jake, what
It is a small package.
Yeah, small package.
Look,
Sex Rex.
I'm just saying, you heard what you wanted to hear. So,
So how does this New England backfield shake out?
Oh God, it's back to being what exactly we hate. It was like I told you, and you know this, when we talked about it on the podcast, is I was always the person, I want nothing to do with this backfield. If I get involved, I want the cheapest person, and that's why I do own a lot of James White, because he was almost free at the beginning of the season. But once we got down to 2 running backs, I was all in with everybody else. We want to get down to 2. When we're back to 3, It's the Bellatrix. That's what we deal with all the time. Would it surprise anybody if Burkhead is the most valuable if he plays this week? No. Would it surprise anybody if he doesn't see anything and it's Sony Michel and James White? No. The problem is this is like you said it today on the podcast, talking about there's some situations where no matter what we do, we as fantasy analysts have to throw our hands up in the air and say we legitimately don't know what's going to happen.
Silly rabbit. Bellatrix are for kids. What about the Marlon Mack stuff? Do you think Mack plays?
I actually do. It sounded like it wasn't that serious, and he's got the full 7 days.
Concussions are always serious. That's why you need to tell the truth about them. Then they can be less serious because we'll have the real information that we need. But let's say, I have him in as if he's playing and he's Marlon Mack, so that's where I'm going. If he's out, so like the giveaway contest, who would you rank higher, Garion?
I think it would have to be Nyheim Hines. Wilkins has had some nice spurts in the last couple of games, but I think Hines is at least a capable running back between the tackles. I don't think he's fantastic by any means, but I still think he's someone who could get, I don't know, probably
10 carries,
roughly 10 carries, and he's going to get work in the passing game. And we saw, the rule with Nyheim Hines before Mack came back was, is Marlon Mack active? If so, Nyheim Hines is not viable. If he's not active, then Nyheim Hines, throw him in. He's a great play. I think he's more skilled than Jordan Wilkins. I think he has a wider skill set than Jordan Wilkins, and especially in a full point PPR, he's definitively the pass catching back.
So, Jake, where do you think do you agree with Hines over Wilkins?
Yeah, I would even start Hines over Wilkins in non-PPR. He's been more effective. We saw earlier this year when Marlon Mack was out that Hines was the better option. Wilkins is going to be the short yard option. But you look at this offense, it's a pass-happy offense because Andrew Luck, I don't know why people still ask questions about Andrew Luck as of today, but he's been back for almost the entire season at this point, and it's a pass offense Hines is going to be more involved, at least more involved in more explosive plays.
See, you can play Hines, and if you played Wilkins, he could be like that knockoff ketchup that you buy that's not Hines.
Right.
Which is real sugary, no matter what brand it is.
Hunts, French's, yeah.
No name. Not good stuff.
It's to Jake's point, though, like the Colts were such a pass-heavy offense the first 5 weeks of the season. They were up around 65%, and obviously there's been a correlation with Marlon Mack just being good. They've been down around 57% the last couple of weeks.
So
I would assume they go right back up to like 65%, especially, like I would think that in a vacuum, and then you factor in that they're playing Jacksonville, who, obviously they have a great secondary, but also they've been pretty stout against the run so far this season as well.
And that's actually, to your point, Gary, and that's been where the defense has fallen apart the most is in the passing game.
Yeah, so I would just say they'll be more inclined to pass the ball regardless, and that would obviously lean itself to Nyheim Hines.
I have Austin Eckler at number 13 in the rankings. That is Eckler above Breda, Gus Bus, Chris Carson, Dalvin Cook. Is that too high, too low? Or are you sweating Justin Jackson at all?
Not really.
Because I have Justin Jackson at, where the hell did I put him? 42.
Initially, I thought Eckler was high, but then you start looking at the tier of running back behind him. I don't know necessarily. There's not a single guy behind Eckler who has a clean slate. You can knock any one of these guys from 14 to 20 with something. And at least Eckler he's going to be definitively involved in the passing game. This is someone who really only was the definitive starting running back for a half last week and led the team with 10 catches. Was it 9 catches, 10 catches? He's going to touch the football. He's going to be in an offense that moves the ball up and down the field. I would say that with Breida's fine, but I don't really trust that San Francisco offense in general. I don't know how many scoring opportunities
especially
he's
at
going to have.
Seattle.
At Seattle, too. Gus Edwards looked great.
Bus.
He's been fantastic. Gus Bus has been fantastic.
Name, but Collins might be
Collins
back.
is probably going to be back this week.
We saw Ty Montgomery have a pretty good game on the ground, too. And
in a way, though, that would be my almost counter argument to worrying about Alex Collins, which was Ty Mont still got 13 touches in that game, and Gus Bus was fine.
But maybe we put in some Ty Montgomery and Alex Collins to spell Gus Bus.
It's possible.
So,
again,
Buck
Buck Allen touched the ball in that game, too.
Once.
John Harbaugh is not completely immune to giving every single running back he has a chance.
So, Jake, in terms of Austin Eckler, one of the reasons that I like him, I think he's going to play over 80% of the snaps. I think a lot of this Jackson work that we saw last week was just predicated on the score of that game, to be perfectly honest with you. It was just play the backup to the backup. Play him so we don't have anyone else get hurt. But Melvin Gordon leads his team in red zone targets.
Yeah.
If Eckler's going to be on the field, he's going to get those all of a sudden. So just through passing game-wise, like you mentioned, if he can just get 10 to 12 carries and maybe a goal line look or two on the ground, then he's going to be fine, right, Jake?
Yeah, the only one behind him that I'm looking at here, so initially when you sent me these, I saw Matt Breida, and I'm like, oh, Matt Breida. But then if you saw last week's work, the snap count wasn't there for Breida, which was surprising because that was the one thing that we liked about him is whether they were up or down, Breida was going to be involved. And then you saw that drop last week. So to Garion's point, I think you have questions except for one. I look at Dalvin Cook and I know that Murray was still somewhat involved in that game, but it's trending up and it is Dalvin Cook. I still trust Dalvin Cook more than I trust Eckler as a running back. And as we've talked about before on the show, the Steelers defense has been getting much better and been playing much better in the second half of the season. Their run defense was something that was quality this entire year. So I do think Eckler's leading this backfield. He has, granted, they only ran 44 snaps when they were in London, but he had 42 of them. But I don't think that's going to continue. Like you said, 80%. I don't expect 80%. I'd say 65 to 70%. I don't think that they're going to ask Eckler, given his size, to carry the ball that much.
Is it trending in the right direction for Dalvin Cook?
He looked better. I think this is a good matchup for him against the Patriots.
It's a better
was
one,
100%
sure.
Again, and the snap count was trending. That's what I'm talking about. He's trending back up to his workload, and
but it went the opposite direction. He went from 88% to 58% in week. Like it went way down from where he was the week prior.
I just like seeing him involved in the passing game.
He had 10 carries. Again, he's had 10 carries for like 4 consecutive weeks. I don't know. I would say it's fine for Dalvin Cook. I'm not sold at all in his role in this offense right now.
Yeah, I'm kind of. It's just
it's not even him. It's just that line is so bad that I truly believe they can't run the football.
They can have run. It's funny when they bring in Latavius Murray and he runs north-south just right up the gut. He tends to do pretty well.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's strange, and but I think that's why Cook in this matchup should be pretty good because he can go east-west, and against the Patriots, you can just outrun them. If you can hit the edge against Patriots, you could be gone.
I'm
Did
worried
you go
how
off the top of your head. What was Latavius? I'm asking legitimately, Garrett. If I was
think
wrong,
it was 43%.
No, not that.
Oh, okay.
Was snap or touches? That's what I was talking about. Touches. Did Latavius have that many last week? I thought.
No, I think he only had like 5 or 6. I just meant the snap count went from like 88 the week prior to down to 58 against Green Bay.
Okay, then maybe it's not. I still whether or not so. Maybe I go back and pull those numbers up. Is the fact that I still like Dalvin Cook for the fact that he looks healthy. But, again, if you want to go Austin Eckler, I'm not going to argue ad nauseum about it.
I mean, I would even say it's a tough point or place to argue because we don't really know about Garion Johnson right now. But
do you think
I would rather start Garion Johnson?
Do you
if he's
think
healthy.
Garion plays?
I do. And if he's active, I'm rolling him out. And I think I would rather have him than Dalvin Cook this week. I think
that's tough. The matchup is a lot better. I know the Rams defense it ain't nothing, but it could just be a lot of throwing to Theo Riddick.
Patricia,
sure, it could be, but it could also be a lot of throwing to like Johnson. There was a game where Theo Riddick's first game where he had 7 targets. Garion Johnson also had 7 targets.
He did, but now they brought in Bruce Ellington. And Bruce Ellington, a lot of that was
Fair.
Theo Riddick playing the slot. They bring Bruce Ellington to play the slot. Now they're divvying up more of the looks in the backfield between Riddick and Garion.
And to go back to earlier this season when everybody was healthy, the one thing that was the constant was Garion Johnson's touches. It was just Garion gets Garion. LeGarrette Blount and Theo Riddick were the ones that were up and down depending on whether they were leading or behind. But it was just Garion was always Garion. And as soon as everybody was back and healthy, we went back to that. I don't disagree. Look, here's the fact. This comes down to what we've seen before with other teams is that we sit back and don't understand how they can't see what we see. Garion Johnson by far is their most effective option, but for some reason, Matt Patricia, I guess coming from the Belichick school, just wants Garion to get his share, and that's it.
Yeah.
I think there's also a factor here, too, that Garion, even though they've had the extended rest because they played on Thanksgiving, that he still might not be 100% even if he plays. And then all of a sudden, Blunt's rushing in 3 from the 1-yard line. And there was a sort of a movement before Garion got hurt that he was taking over this goal line work. He was getting his shots. I could see them just going back to Blunt again.
Of course. But I could, in the same breath, I could see Latavius Murray pilfering goal line carries from Dalvin Cook.
I don't know.
It's not off the table. It's
not
not
off the table. No, I agree.
And I will say, too, I mean, this is something that works against both of these teams.
But there's also 2 backs and then 3 backs. We talk about the Lions versus the Vikings.
But I could see either one of these teams just getting completely scripted out of the running game. I mean, going to New England, I know the Vikings have looked better, but going to New England is not exactly a place where I'm definitively going to say they're going to have opportunities to run the football game long, especially, again, for a team who has proven time and time again, they do not want to run the football.
Well, if that's the case,
fair.
If both teams, let's say both teams are just down 20 in the third quarter, it would lead me to believe that Dalvin Cook would see the field more often than Garion Johnson would.
Look, Theo Riddick's probably going to be in the game in that setting. That's fair. I would just say that if you're asking me right now which one of these guys definitely gets 15 touches if they're both active, I would much rather stake a claim to Garion Johnson in that scenario than Dalvin Cook.
I think I'm going to go with Cook.
That's fair.
I'm going to stick to my guns on Cook. I have them 3 spots apart.
Yeah.
Cohen over Howard. It's just every week, right?
Every week. It's fine.
It's a great spot for Jordan Howard theoretically.
It is.
We've had these.
Yeah, this has been a thing.
We've had these. Look, he's going to have games where he scores 2 touchdowns. Like it's going to happen.
And there's been times.
But
the one thing is, since they traded away Damon Harrison, the Giants' run defense is abysmal. It's there's no question about it. And if you're looking for the opportunity here, especially given that defense, we would assume that's the Garion. But we've seen this before. Like we've seen where they should be up, and it should be Jordan Howard. This would be a week I would risk him, but you're PPR. I would risk Jordan Howard in non-PPR. I don't think I would even touch him in PPR.
So 21 to 30, that's where Jordan Howard actually falls. So it's Sony Michel, who I told you I bumped down a little bit just because of the return of Sex Rex. Marlon Mack, Lamar Miller, that awful.
Too low!
Awful. Mark Ingram,
Yeah.
Josh Adams, Deion Lewis, Jordan Howard, Kenyon Drake, Adrian Peterson, and Peyton Barber. Too low on Lamar Miller, huh?
I think
I'm kidding.
I'm not really. Not saying that he needs to be drastically higher, but I would say of the trio, let's say Josh Adams, Lamar Miller, and Sony Michel, I'd start those other 2 over Sony Michel this week. I really don't like Sony Michel this week. Not to say that he is a touchdown-dependent player, because he's been a very efficient runner, and their offensive line is healthy again. I think it was the first time since week 6 they'd have all 5 day 1 starting offensive linemen healthy. Like, this team is rounding into form, as the Patriots tend to do in late November, early December, but the Vikings have yet to allow a 100-yard rusher so far this season. They've only allowed 2 rushing touchdowns for the entirety of the year. They're only allowing 3.7 yards per carry. It just seems like a game where, especially with Burkhead back, especially with what James White can do, and I mean, yes, the Patriots' offensive line is getting healthier, but that Vikings' defensive line is also getting healthier. And when they're at full strength, they're very, very good. I just think this could be like 14 carries for 50 yards for Sony Michel, and he needs
now you're
that
hoping
touchdown.
that he scores, yeah. But what do you project for Lamar Miller is the problem? Because
I think you can just
hard to figure out.
Sure, but at this point, I think you can just lock Lamar Miller in for 15 to 20 touches. It's a decent matchup for Miller, and then for Josh Adams, like I'll eat
I've been
shoe
eating
for
this
this
all
one.
week.
Like, you know what? He did it. They gave him the touches.
Yeah,
and
but as Jake and I were talking about a little bit earlier, you know who he's not playing this week? The Giants.
yeah, and that's 100% true. That's 100%.
I knew. I even looked that up. Not playing
nice.
the Giants 2 consecutive weeks.
And look, he wasn't super efficient. Like at one point, we looked at each other. At halftime, he had
became
negative
Lamar
points.
Miller, though.
Yes.
Like it's always the thing with Lamar Miller. Oh man, this guy's so great on 10 touches. Let's give him 25. He does exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
But here's the good thing. Here, I will say this, like, Pat, again, to go reference something we said on the podcast, is, I've been the person this entire year that's like, I want nothing to do with the Eagles backfield. Doug Peterson is a committee. He's always a committee. It's just what he is. The one thing, if you look at this game, this was not a committee, because Josh Adams got banged up on special teams earlier. That's when Corey Clement got the majority of his touches. Once Adams came back and was pretty much cleared for the rest of the game, it was back to Adams for the majority of the rest of the game. Now, Corey Clement still had a few explosive plays, because Corey Clement can do his thing. But if you're right, he wasn't very efficient, but you're talking about 20 touches coming out of the game banged up. I think it's clear for now. I hate to do it, because I feel like as soon as I buy in after saying what
I'm
I said the entire year,
100% with you. I'm 100% with you.
But I would put Josh Adams higher. I hate to do it, but I would.
And look,
sell me Josh Adams over these guys ahead of him. You can sell me on Mark Ingram, but that's where he
Well,
was
again,
ranked by fantasy pros.
You just heard my Sony Michel take, which is basically what I'm talking about in this specific sense. But even with Adams, like to build off of Jake's point, this was a game where they were trailing by 2 scores for a majority of the contest. Like the exact opposite script you would want if you have Josh Adams, and he still got 22 touches. Like, I think that this passing game version of Adams that we saw, where he only had the 1 target, is a much more fair representation of what we saw against the Saints. Like, Jake can back this up. He was not a pass-catching running back in college. This is a dude who was never utilized in the passing game. That's not a skill set he has, but I think he's going to touch the ball 20 times this week.
If you get
even with that game, and even with coming out, he still had more passing game snaps than Clement, which that's to Garion's point. That surprised the hell out of me.
Yeah,
I just don't like the Skins. I just don't. I eat 20. Let's say it drops to 15. Let's say it's 15 carries, and it's against the Redskins. It's not 22 against the Giants, which efficiency-wise, he didn't do all that much. He had the one big one called back, fair, and it was a hold that had nothing to do with the run, so he did break that.
that was...
Yeah, I was like, ooh.
For the initial fade, that was great.
Yeah, but I don't know, like, if you're going to give me a matchup, the Vikings' run defense is probably a bit better than the Skins, but the Skins are no joke.
No, but I think you could make the same case where, again, what's to guarantee Sony Michel gets more than 15 touches?
But if that's the case, then let me tie myself to the better offense.
No,
that's
but the
fair.
Skins, the Skins run defense is no joke, but it's not what it was for the first half of the year.
Sure, but it's not the Giants, is what I'm saying.
No.
No, of course
teams
not.
are.
But it's all. I think it's actually more middle of the pack now, though. Like it's not close to the Vikings like it used to be.
Okay. I hate Josh Adams. I hate this guy's guts. I don't want to rank him any higher. Ranking
I
him
don't.
this highly,
Hey,
it just pisses
hey,
me
Pat.
off.
I kept trying to get you to put more people in worst place on the
you
podcast.
can't. You can't bully me into putting people in worse place.
No, can I ask you a question? If we trust Josh Adams this week and he does absolutely nothing, can we just immediately put him in worst place?
You're worse than cussed with your happy worst place trigger finger.
Oh, does that mean you're going to give him 2 worst place votes?
Yeah, I might have to give. Yeah, I'll have a committee in the off season. It's very rare that people get transferred into worst place midway through a season. They usually start the year in worst
Unless
place.
they're traded to the Raiders.
Yeah,
apparently.
if they're traded to the Raiders, then obviously they're going to end up in worst place. Pretty good take, by the way. Just don't play Raiders unless it's Marcel.
I legitimately thought I would get you to put Lamar Miller in worst place, though.
No, Lamar Miller earned his way out of worst place like 2.5 years ago. Like I said, we have a question from the audience. Sir, yes? Derrick Henry should be in worst place?
Ooh.
Yeah,
No.
Derrick Henry or like Jordan Howard have a better claim to worst place, I think.
Jordan Howard does. Ooh, Jordan Howard does, definitely.
Yeah.
Not Derrick Henry. Well,
can't
it
hear
depends on who.
Jason's earpiece,
I hate. To your point, Pat, about what we were saying earlier today about not owning somebody, so you can't put him in worst place.
He's talking.
I don't have. Oh, I'm talking. I'm covered. Well, what's happening, Pat, over here? What did he lose connection?
He got excited and lost connection. He'll be back. I think he's back.
I'm back.
I was
There
gonna
you
say
are.
for Derrick Henry,
He's
I
like
hated him
spinning
so
in a
much.
circle like you would if you drop your controller in Madden.
Oh, that's the best. That's a Ryan Fitzpatrick play.
Yeah.
Just run around in circles. So
Oh, that was the Michael Vick.
no, but Ryan Fitzpatrick,
Game breaker.
whenever he does, but it doesn't work for Ryan Fitzpatrick. He just does.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Just like how I wasn't able to talk or hear what was going on. So the 31-40, I guess maybe we'll talk. I have Tevin Coleman really low. I don't love him against the Ravens.
I haven't loved Tevin Coleman in a very long time.
Like
He's had one game.
what
in
about
the
Shady?
last
Is Shady
8
is
weeks.
Shady unplayable with Josh Allen?
I think so.
Oh, I would. No,
I mean,
would
he
play
was
him. I would
borderline
play him this
unplayable
week.
anyway. Dolphins do have a terrible run defense, but to
But
your
that's
point,
good. That's good news for their real
yeah,
running back, Josh Allen.
It's true. And he never passes to Shady,
No,
ever.
hates him.
I mean, he only passes like 15 times per game.
Yeah,
so.
and well, I mean, if Shady wants to start running 100 yards down the field, then Josh Allen will attempt to throw it to him.
LeSean McCoy's a flex running back this week, which is fine.
Yeah, I am at number 34 in the rankings.
Yeah.
I have him a little bit higher, but I'm not going to care that much.
Jacksonville situation.
Yeldon.
Carlos Hyde and Yeldon both available to be picked up off waiver wires. You could stream one of them in because the Colts, decent matchup. So I get the Yeldon take that if now Cody Kessler's obviously starting for the Jags this week, so we don't know how it's gonna shake out. But
They also have a new offensive coordinator.
Sorry, I couldn't hack it.
There it is.
Had to be launched. But if the Jags continue with their offensive philosophy of what they want to do, this would point to Carlos Hyde. Carlos Hyde getting
Yes.
like 25 carries. Now, if things go awry and the Colts score early, you might see 90% TJ Yeldon on the field. He gets like 20 catches.
And I think that's the thing. There are two factors here, both Indianapolis based, that point me to Yeldon. And the first one is, as we touched on last week with Kenyon Drake. You were 100% right about Kenyon Drake last week.
I was. He actually
The
was like one of my
Colts-
good picks on DraftKings.
There you go. The Colts struggle immensely with pass catching running backs. Their defense is designed to bleed targets to running backs that come out of the backfield. That bodes well for Yeldon, who in the one game we've seen Hyde and Yeldon in Jacksonville uniforms without Leonard Fournette.
That was very early Carlos Hyde.
It was, but I'm just saying, I'm not even talking about Hyde, but in that game, Yeldon led the Jaguars in targets and receptions. And then you've just got the fact that there is no way Indianapolis doesn't score 30 points in this game. I truly believe their offense is not unstoppable, but if you look, they scored what, 20, was it only 27 points against the Dolphins? They had like 2 fumbles in the red zone.
Two
They
picks
had
right in a row.
Like there was some weird stuff. And then when they decided they wanted to score, they just scored at will. Lux had 8 consecutive games with at least 3 passing touchdowns. I just think they're going to have to actually try and score the football. And I just think that, like you said,
That leads to Yeldon. So I have Yeldon at 36. I have Hyde at 31. I think the Jags will try. Jags at home. This is a 3-point game, like by the spreads. So
That was what the game was last time.
and it
3
was,
points.
But that was. I feel like that was a lot of Jags playing catch up. Like they
It
backdoored.
was also,
they backdoored.
okay, but even so, to that point, Leonard Fournette had 24 carries in that game. I don't know. I'm on the other side. And I'm not saying that I'm right and Garion's wrong, because this is one of those situations, too, where we kind of don't have a huge sample size of the Carlos Hyde, TJ Yeldon backfield to go off of. but I'm going Hyde because he can be. We know he's a good pass catcher, and it's not as good as TJ Yeldon, but he's good enough where I could see him getting that kind of work that they gave Leonard Fournette when Fournette came immediately back, and they're like, screw it, you've been hurt a million times. We're going to give you 30 touches. Who the hell cares? I could just see Carlos Hyde being out there for 20 touches, whether they're up or down because of the ability he has.
Now, Jake almost spelled the exact reason why I ranked Hyde above Yeldon in this. That if things
There's more scenarios.
if things break right for Hyde, it's really valuable.
Yeah.
Now, I obviously factored into this ranking is the downside that comes along with Hyde that Yeldon displays all the time. You can't rank him super highly.
I mean, look,
but
there's
do you know how expensive Carlos Hyde is on DraftKings this week?
$3,000.
$3,300.
Yeah, that seems about right.
And
Yeldon's 44, I think. Look, I agree, and I think there's a scenario where Jacksonville runs. Just because the Colts are so high paced, let's give them 65 plays this week, even though they're pretty slow paced. There's a chance that 45 of those plays in some way, whether it be targeted out of the backfield or carries, are directed at these two running backs. They could both be viable. I think there's a chance this happens. There's really no receiving option that's like a target magnet that's taking away volume from these two guys. You've got not an inexperienced quarterback necessarily. I mean, I'm sure Cody Kessler really studies the playbook. I'm sure he's got it down.
God.
Look, it could work out for both of them. And to Jake's point, Carlos Hyde, I will agree that in a volume sense, he is capable of catching the football, although I think he led all running backs in drops last season.
More than Jordan Howard?
Well, they just stopped throwing to Jordan Howard, so he didn't exactly have the opportunity. But Jordan Howard was the only running back to average fewer yards after the catch than Carlos Hyde last season, and fewer yards per target than Carlos Hyde last season. It's not an efficiency thing. Kyle Shanahan just decided he was going to throw the ball at him a bunch, and it helped. I wouldn't call him a good pass catching running back, but he's
viable.
He's been used in that role before.
Is he as viable as Leonard Fournette is in the passing game?
Sure.
Yes.
Sure.
Then he'll probably see 4 targets.
I would just think, though, that the philosophy of Jacksonville, and again, it's so hard to tell because no one on that coaching staff, aside from Doug Marrone, is really having any decision-making anymore. But I think Fournette gets targets just because he is Leonard Fournette, and they keep him on the field. I would think that if they're going to want to throw the ball, I don't know if Carlos Hyde has that pull. I think they just put TJ Yeldon in.
That's actually a very compelling case, actually, that if they are in pass mode, Yeldon's just on the field, and you don't mix in Carlos Hyde. But I would wager that if they have a goal line opportunity,
it's Hyde.
Hyde gets it,
sure.
And they'll try to establish the run with Hyde at the outset. Whether that works or not, or whether the game gets away from them, that could change everything. But first crack is going to be Hyde.
Or I wonder what Tommy Bohannon is paying for first touchdown in this game.
Ooh.
Probably field, I would assume. I don't know if I could bet Tommy Bohannon straight
Your
up.
main man, Bohannon?
Bohannon.
I should let everyone know that odds and lines are subject to change. See website for actual odds if you or anyone you know has a gambling problem and wants help. Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Any more running backs we need to talk about?
No.
No, we already covered the
Perfect.
Colt stuff.
On to wide receivers. A big injury report for this one. So probably I got Traquan, Equanimeous St. Brown, and Marquise Goodwin, who I guess is going to return because of personal stuff. He could be out.
You would assume.
I would think so. Probably out. I have Sammy Watkins, AJ Green, Kiki, QT, Devin Funches, Pierre Garçon, DJ Chark Attack, Jamison Crowder, Deshaun Jackson, Tywan Taylor, Josh Malone, Chad Williams, and Randall Cobb. Marvin Jones out for the year. Now, some of these guys are going to play.
Yeah.
Which ones? I do not know. Again, check the updated rankings. If they are listed as practicing or in, I will put them in and readjust the rankings. Swear to God, I'll do that.
That's
For
nice.
now,
Of you. That's really nice.
I know it's very nice.
Swear
Of
to
me,
God.
I know. But as of right now, I'm just going to count them as out because you have to do something.
Yeah.
You can't have 18 different versions of the rankings and talk about these ones. Number 1, Adam Thielen. I don't think it's a hot take,
No.
but I doubt he's going to be ranked number 1 this week amongst a lot of people.
Yeah.
Either way, it doesn't matter. He's number 1.
Yeah,
We're
he's
playing
like top
Adam
3,
Thielen.
whatever.
Brown, Antonio Brown, Hopkins, Hill, Adams, Michael Thomas, Keenan Allen, Julio, Beckham. Julio and Beckham have bad matchups. Juju Smith-Schuster, who won Tim Andercust, our DraftKings.
You don't want to put Michael Thomas in last place out of fear that he's been drafted. Therefore, Drew Brees hates him. Discriminatory Drew Brees hates privileged people who have been drafted.
Yeah, only the non-drafted free agents where we're looking at. Number 11, Diggs, then Robert Woods and Cooks, Evans, Kenny Golladay, Emmanuel Sanders, Julian Edelman, T.Y. Hilton, Tyler Boyd, Corey Davis, Josh Gordon, Amari Cooper, DJ Moore, Larry Fitz, Cortland Sutton, and then the guy I want to talk about, Garion, your main man, The Jarvis Landry.
I'm glad they didn't pay him.
Probably good they didn't pay him.
That was the Dolphins have not done a lot of things well in recent years. Dare I say, nothing except not paying Jarvis Landry. Small golf clap.
And they got a pick for him.
Though they then spent that money on
Danny Amendola.
And
Al Wilson.
And Albert Wilson, who has been fun.
So 26 PPR scoring Jarvis Landry. Too high or too low? Because I can't figure out what to do with him.
I think you still have to put him top 30. Callaway was starting to get some red zone work.
And he caught the ball.
Huge
step in the right direction.
I would also say that this matchup, just with the way that the Texans have defended tight ends the last 3 weeks, you'd have to assume that a very large chunk of the target share is going to be going towards Njoku this week. And that obviously doesn't help Jarvis Landry, who needs to be a high volume type player. But I mean, he's still going to see 6 to 8 targets. You'd have to think.
Jake, you've had like 7 hours to ruminate on this. Have you decided what you're doing with Jarvis Landry yet?
I would have him lower. I would definitely have him as a wide receiver 3, just because of the fact is this is going to end up working out, but for a different reason. I thought was at the beginning of the season, I had him as a fringe wide receiver 2 because I thought the other options on this team were going to prevent him from seeing double-digit targets per game. Obviously, with the trade of Josh Gordon and all that type of stuff, the difference here is now Baker Mayfield is Drew Brees, and I'm not saying he's Drew Brees' career. That's just like, it's funny. Like the height-wise is like I said to you earlier. It's Drew Brees he doesn't hone in on anybody. He's going to what's open. He's passing the ball around. He's going to Callaway. He's going to Rashad Higgins at times when he needs to. He's going to Njoku and Duke out of the backfield. He goes to the open guy, which is great to see because this is why we loved Baker. But that means Jarvis Landry without double-digit targets. I think I said it even to you because I know I said it a million times in the preseason, is Jarvis Landry has always been directly correlated to the amount of targets he sees. The points per target in PPR and non-PPR is almost flat across the board for the past 4 seasons. Without double-digit targets, he's a wide receiver 3.
So should I move him down?
I would. There's not behind everybody that's behind him, but I would play Godwin ahead for it. If there is no Deshaun Jackson, I'd probably play Humphrey. I'd actually probably play both the Tampa Bay guys if we have no Deshaun Jackson. I'd play Josh Reynolds and probably Tyler Lockett, and that's about it.
Yeah, I guess Lockett would maybe be the guy that I would be comfortable playing over him at this point.
I actually think Tyler Lockett's really low on your rankings.
Really? At number 35?
Yeah, I'd have him inside the top 25. He's going
it was
against San Francisco. He's been there. Doug Baldwin's he said he wasn't going to be 100% this year. Tyler Lockett's turned into their number 1.
Doug Baldwin, even I know he didn't score the touchdown last week, but he's still seeing the most targets of anyone on this team week after week after week.
But they're not effective all the time.
No, because he keeps dropping everything.
I mean, Lockett's in that weird place where, I mean, he did see a season high in targets last week, but it was 8. Like he's always in that 5 to 7 range, and I think he's the most trustworthy of the bunch. I would have him ahead of Baldwin at this point.
Okay, so how about this? How about I just swap Jarvis Landry and Tyler Lockett? Does that work for everyone?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I'll move Lockett to 26 and Jarvis Landry to 35.
Yeah.
As long as you don't keep him behind Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
So we're done with Valdez-Scantling? He can never have a good game again?
No, I wrote about him in the waiver column because I was talking about Equanimeous St. Brown, and Gary knows this. I'm not endorsing Equanimeous at all. It has nothing to do with it. But the fact is something's happened here because we had the excuse 2 weeks ago with Valdez-Scantling that, hey, you know what? It was a tough matchup with the slot corner from the Seahawks. But then this past week, exactly what we expected to happen happened. He spent a good amount of time in the slot away from Trey Waynes. And even in the time outside of Trey Waynes, if you want to say, all right, you just have to write him out for that tough matchup, he still spent a lot of time in the slot, more so than Equanimeous St. Brown, and he still only had 2 targets. Something's not there where Rodgers and him aren't on the page anymore, and Equanimeous saw a lot more targets than he did.
Well, the scary thing...
Well, Equanimeous may or may not play. So let's throw that in there, too. But
of course. Wait, no, we have to set the rankings now, Pat.
That's true. So, all right, I'll move him down. The other 2 I want to talk about here, Alshon has been useless since Golden Tate arrived in town. Yeah. Useless.
So is Golden Tate.
Yeah. Well, where do I rank Alshon? I have him at 30.
It's not a bad spot. He's got Josh Norman.
Yeah, which I'm not even sure if that's a good or a bad thing at this point. Probably a good thing for Alshon.
No, it's been a bad thing for the most part this year.
So, like, would you play Josh Reynolds above like your Alshon Jeffries, your Anthony Millers, like those type of guys?
I would consider it only because he's fake. Like, I don't like Josh Reynolds for what people think that he's going to turn into Cooper Kupp because he's not Cooper Kupp. And that game on Monday night, you just throw that Monday night game out. For the Gerald Everetts of the world, stop. But the fact is he's facing the Lions. And that's the biggest thing is like Darius Slay is back, but Darius Slay is on the number one option. And that's going to be probably Brandon Cooks, maybe some Robert Woods too. But Josh Reynolds just has a tasty matchup.
So, okay. I'll move down Scantling. Would you go Scantling or Marcel Aitman, who I have at number 36, who I really like this week? Big fan of Marcel.
I would consider Aitman for the. He's getting the entire market share of that team now.
Yeah.
And this is a much better matchup than the Ravens. Chiefs, I'll take that one.
Yeah, although, I mean, the Chiefs, for as bad as their defense was on Monday night, obviously, they've been fine against terrible offenses. Like, they didn't allow Josh Rosen to have some sort of crazy game. They haven't allowed Case Keenum to go off in those contests that he got to play the Chiefs. Like, they haven't really had the quarterback who's just straight up bad put up gaudy numbers against them so far this season.
I don't need Derek Carr to put up gaudy numbers. I just need him to throw to 8-man like 15 times. He threw it to him 10 times last week. Three catches, mind you.
He's
again,
the Raider I
Ravens.
would play 100%. I guess the concerning thing with Valdez Scantling at this point too is
Is
this
that
goes
he's not any good?
well that this system's just not any good. Like
Rodgers looks bad now. That's never a good thing.
And this is the thing. It's we can talk about passing volume all we want, but aimed passes are really the important thing here. Like if a quarterback's throwing, but it's not actually to a target, that's a big problem. And right now, Aaron Rodgers is almost lapping the field in terms of passes thrown away. I think he's got 46 throwaways so far this season. Like Drew Brees has 80 incompletions. So yes, the Packers continue to remain very high in the pass ratio stuff, but only like 85% of Rodgers' passes are actually aimed. Like it's concerning when Devontae Adams is going to have such a large target share in this offense. So
well, and you have to go to the fact too, if you expect Patrick Peterson to be on Adams this week, but if Valdez Scantling's on the outside again for at least 50%, I mean, it's not as good as what's in the slot here for this situation again. So, you know, if they're going to keep with this 50%, him and St. Brown, assuming the St. Brown plays, you have to go down that road again now too, is because Valdez Scantling's biggest value was being in the slot.
Yeah. Also, I have no idea who the Cardinals are playing opposite of Peterson this week. They just cut Ben Wicki, so it's going to probably be some scrub. So could be a decent matchup.
So let me ask you this.
Could be.
Head to head, start one. Would you go Valdez Scantling or Aitman?
Oh.
Aitman.
Okay.
Aitman unless St. Brown is out.
Okay. Would you go Valdez Scantling? We're playing like St. Brown is going to be in. Valdez Scantling or Sterling Shepard?
Oh God, that's ugly.
Probably.
I'll take the
Scantling.
court. Yeah, I'll take the matchup and the quarterback there.
All right. Do you mind any of these guys behind him? Russell Westbrook, D.D. Westbrook, Bruce Ellington, Allen Robinson, Josh Doxson, Traquan, John Ross, Christian Kirk, Demaryius Thomas, and that assumes like Kiki is out. That assumes A.J. Green is out. That assumes Traquan is obviously playing because he's in the rankings. But would you bump any of those guys up and move Scantling down?
I would bump up Allen Robinson anyway. Janoris Jenkins he's not been good this year.
But I just worry that Allen Robinson's just inconsistent week to week.
I mean, that's
regardless of who's playing quarterback.
Speaking of what you guys were talking about earlier, it seems like that is a team that really doesn't have a de facto number one option. Like Allen Robinson is, for all intents and purposes, and by their cap sheet, their number one receiver. But I think targets are spread out.
Honestly, Miller is just more consistent week to week. He's the one that they use in the red zone, at least.
Yeah, but I mean, we saw like Trey Burton had like 9 targets last week. Like these things happen where just all of a sudden a random person, like again, Josh Bellamy gets random red zone targets. There's a lot of options.
Yeah,
there you go.
But Trubisky's no guarantee to play. These rankings are as if Trubisky is playing.
I think he's going to play.
I think he's going to play.
They seemed to paint the picture last week that if that game had been on Sunday, he would have been fine to go.
Okay. Anyway, I think Josh Doxson's a sleeper this week.
I was about to bring him up.
I enjoyed, and this just could be me watching the game and just being like, Colt McCoy really seems to like Josh Doxson. That was
he likes two things.
That's my one to what? Being terrible and Josh Doxson?
No, well, okay,
trying
3
hard.
When he came in for, we always kind of have to throw out quarterbacks coming in the middle of the game, just what's going on after that, because you don't have a full week of preparation for that quarterback and what the offense. But the fact is, he came into that game for Alex Smith. He targeted the hell out of Jordan Reed and Josh Doxson. What did we have last week? targets the hell of the tight end position, and Josh Doxson. So I'm with you. I already wrote him up as a sleeper this week. I'm right there with you, lock and step, buddy.
Should I put him higher, though? Like, I still don't trust him.
I think you could have him ahead of like Didi.
Didi?
Yes, Didi.
Didi is fantastic. Don't you besmirch Didi on this show. He's my guy. Love Didi.
Yeah, I know.
So good.
1 week great, next week terrible.
It's just that offense. Like
It's a good matchup.
Yeah.
Look, if it plays the script that we just pointed out, that they're going to have to score points. But as I said, it wouldn't shock me if much of that volume goes to the running back position.
Sure. Like, so would you move? So you would move Doxson?
I would rather play Doxson than Didi. Yeah, I'm just off of Jacksonville wide receivers.
Would you rather play Doxson or Sterling Shepard?
Doxson.
Doxson, yeah.
Would you rather play Doxson or 8-man? I'd rather
Doxson.
play 8-man. 8-man is like the best player in the league.
I'm gonna go with Aitman there.
You know, Marcel Aitman, white guy.
Keep
I don't
going.
think
Doxson.
is he
Doxson, yes,
white?
the Eagles, man. Doxson's over Valdez Scantling. Doxson over who? I'm looking at your list right now. I played Doxson over Alshon Jeffrey in the same game.
Really?
Look at where the targets are going. You want to talk about market share in that game? You got Alshon Jeffrey versus Josh Norman, and you just mentioned it. Since they brought in Golden Tate, that offense has been just killed outside of Zach Ertz. And then if you look at the flip side, Doxson's getting everything in the 1.5 games of Colt McCoy, and he's got a terrific matchup.
I'm getting stat corrected from the producer, Marcel Aitman, not a white guy.
Yeah, I know. I just said he wasn't a white guy.
Oh, was that you? I thought it was Paul.
I didn't even hear you say he's not.
He's a light-skinned black man.
Oh,
He also wears 88, which makes it really easy to find him because he's
I
eight-man.
thought he was a tight end.
No, he's a lesser
Well, they
version
had-
of
they
Des
had
Bryant. How many
least-
comparisons do you need?
Yes, you got Lee Smith and Aitman confused.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Is that what happened?
Yeah.
So Aitman
Because we
wears
spent
88.
so long trying to figure out who the heck Lee Smith was.
That was right.
Yeah.
This is what happens when that Ravens game is in the corner of your Ravens.
And the
Raiders
audio's on?
Yeah, it was really weird.
Nah.
Anyway, that's my bad on that one. I apologize to Marcel Aitman for that one. I don't know if I can start Doxson over Alshon Jeffrey, though. I just don't know if I'd feel good about doing that.
I feel like every time I give up on Alshon Jeffrey, he catches 2 touchdowns.
That's the game.
Yeah.
He's the new Amari Cooper.
In a way.
Yeah, but Amari Cooper's too sick now. Can't be beat. I'll move. I don't know. I wrote a time code. I'll move Doxson behind Aitman to number 38. I do like Doxson, though. I think he's more of a DraftKings play, though, for me.
That's fair.
I think he's a nice guy just to go on to and be like, hey, if he hits this game, he's going to hit big. Rest of the receivers. Go ahead.
I was going to say, would you plug in Mike if Tyrell is out to the Williamses?
Sure.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Sure.
I think he would be even higher, wouldn't you?
No, because then they'll use like Travis Benjamin or throw it to Antonio Gates or
Whoa, hold on. That you always say Benjamin. How did you just say Travis Benjamin like so normal?
no, it's Kelvin Benjamin.
Oh, my fault.
Who's
no,
in Will's
I would,
place?
I would play Mike Williams over Doug Baldwin. He's facing the 49ers.
Do we think that Baldwin goes to the slot, Lockett gets matched up with Sherman in that game?
That's possible. Revenge game,
Yeah,
Sherman.
revenge game Sherman.
Revenge against Sherman. I mean, Baldwin tends to move. He sees about like 45% of
Yeah,
his
but he's got a bad hip. He's got a bad knee. You can't move the guy. You
Turn.
can't move the guy around too much.
turn. My inclination would be that David Moore is kind of sacrificed to Richard Sherman. But
To Richard Sherman. I'm with you on that because I
sense.
don't think Sherman can keep up with Lockett downfield.
Yeah, that's.
Sherman's been keeping up with a lot of people. This
David
year.
Moore has one route though.
Go.
So, and look, sometimes it works because holy crap was Russell Wilson good at throwing the deep ball yesterday or 2 days ago. 2 days ago? 2 days
Sunday.
ago. Yeah. Sunday.
Or depending on the day that you're watching the show.
Yeah, it's time is a circle, flat wheel. What is? I don't care.
Please enlighten us with your description of time.
I was trying to do the Russ Cole thing, but it's been too long. It's been too long.
It's a flat circle.
Thank you, flat circle.
Any more of these receivers you do want to bring up as ranked too low that you should be propping up? If John Ross is like playable, if AJ Green's out again,
I mean, look, I'll say it's
even with Driscoll,
sure. and,
Demarius is up there if Kiki's out.
and I made the point.
I don't know about that.
I mean, if he's gonna get red zone looks,
I guess. So.
Yeah.
and it seems like teams are more than content. Like the 2 times that he caught a touchdown, DeAndre was essentially like triple covered in the end zone. So teams are just gonna give Demaryius Thomas touchdowns.
I'll move him up one spot ahead of Christian Kirk.
One spot. Yay.
Again, I think that Marquise Goodwin is going to play in this game. You would assume that a non-injury, he'd be back next week. But if he doesn't play, I still think Pettis is. I don't think it was a fluke last week. Like he's their 2nd-round pick. He's highly skilled. Led the team in targets last week in terms of receivers.
In Seattle against that, it's not the Legion of Boom anymore, but it's been a
They're
really
fine,
good
sure, they're fine. But I think if anyone has the potential, like, I think if those two guys aren't starting, the veterans aren't starting, I think I trust Pettis more than I trust Marquise Goodwin. Like, if Goodwin's not playing, I wouldn't look to play Goodwin.
I mean, more so than Kendrick Bourne and all the rest of them.
I just think
no
Bourne
Richie
is
James.
like Bourne is. I mean, James is the slot receiver. That's fine, and I think that's a Trent Taylor thing. But yeah, I think that Kendrick Bourne is just kind of a guy who's going to be on an NFL roster. That's fine. I think Pettis actually has some skill.
Okay.
Did you ever do that one, Pat? The Kendrick Bourne identity?
I didn't. I thought that one was a bit too obvious. Not gonna lie to
Yeah.
you. I enjoy a good esoteric reference if there ever was one. Except for Doug.
All right, well, look, I got the
except
one
for Doug the
Spelling.
Pug, who is ubiquitous.
Yeah.
There's only so many things you can ignore.
He is the king of pop culture. All right.
It truly is.
So, Ravens receivers, not great.
He's going to throw like 20 times a game.
They threw 25 times last week.
Good for them. What
Heroes. Robert Foster. Bill's super legend, Robert Foster.
Yeah,
know.
because it was Zay Jones before. That's what the stop.
Is-
Bills wide receivers.
Is he going to draw Xavier Howard? I don't know. Like, don't laugh at Xavier Howard. It's the one thing I have.
TJ Jones against the Rams. Is Talib
It's
going
not
to
even
back?
TJ Jones. It's Bruce Elliott.
No, Bruce Ellington's playing the slot. TJ Jones play the outside.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. You don't want TJ Jones outside.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have him at number 73 for a reason here.
Oh, okay.
Dolphins receiver of the week, Gary?
Nah.
None. Pass.
Kenny Stills.
I'll go with Parker still.
I would still say Parker, but
I'd roll the dice on Stills. Tannehill at least likes Stills.
Stills did Stills get 2 targets in that game?
I think no one had. More
I know,
than
but he
4
had the
targets,
most.
except for
He's
Drake.
still on the field. No, he was on the field the most out of all of them.
I don't know.
None would
Just
be preferable.
yeah, don't play one.
Yeah.
Quarterbacks. And Mitch Trubisky is in. I have Joe Flacco and Sam Ches as out. Benched. Blake Bortles, Andy Dalton done for the season. Number 1, Mahomes. Number 2, Kyle. Number 3, Drew Brees. Jameis at number 4. Luck, Goff, Watson, The Berg, Russell Wilson, Kirk Cousins. My one fear for Russell Wilson in this game, just like it pertains to Lockett, it pertains to Doug Baldwin, David Moore, is what if they just do what they've been doing from like week 4 to week 7, where they just run the ball 35 times?
Very possible.
Because they can do that against San Francisco.
San Francisco's run defense hasn't been bad.
not
It's
good.
middle of the pack. But the argument would be they get up and just run the clock out for this entire second half. I would say to that at the very least with Russell Wilson, as we pointed out on Sunday's show, he's been running the football a little bit more himself, which is nice. It gives you that floor again. And also,
He throws touchdowns.
yeah, he only needs 16 passes to throw 2 touchdowns, apparently. So at least you're getting the guy throwing the touchdowns. You don't have to guess which one is actually going to catch him.
What would you do with Trubisky, Jake? I have him at 11. I feel like that might be too low.
No, I think that's a fair spot given the concern. But you look at the fact is, if Trubisky's been terrific this year, it's not a defense that you need to worry about. But to this point before about Jordan Howard, they might come into this game and say, let's just make sure we get another win as we head to the playoffs, but let's not put too much on Trubisky's shoulder in general. I mean, that's really what we're looking at here. So I think it's a fair spot where you have him. I actually thought you were going to have him lower.
Yeah, I initially had him lower. Then I looked at it. I was like, I can't disrespect my main man, Mitch. You guys too good at fantasy.
He could definitely finish higher, but the people you have in front of him are just far safer.
Mitch Trubisky's like the good Lamar Jackson.
And who, by the way, is headed to Atlanta for his version of Michael Vick, possibly.
Yeah, I have him at number 16. Like, I'd much rather play Dak on Thursday night than play Lamar Jackson. I just would.
I'd play Lamar Jackson probably over Phillip Rivers in Steeler Town.
That game smells of a shootout, though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe.
That reeks of like 35-30.
Isn't that what we said about London, though?
Yeah. I just think that Steelers 2 bad games in a row back at home, like they're putting up points, and the Chargers will score points.
Yeah.
The Chargers
That's fair.
They'll just morph into like whatever game is happening around them. If it's gonna be a shootout, they'll play a shootout.
And then they'll lose it.
Yeah, then they'll lose
Isn't
it on, like,
Lamar Jackson's like over under like 80 rushing yards now?
How many did he have last week?
I
feel like it wasn't
think
that-
it was like 65.
Was it
Yeah.
65?
After 100 something in the first game?
I mean, that's fine, but if you're really not doing anything through the air, it starts to become problematic. I think that he has a great floor. I'm not sure what his upside is.
I think-
like people will tell you that it's 40 points.
Sure.
He had 71 and a rushing touchdown last week and actually threw for a touchdown, too. I remember that.
But that's the thing. I think he's one of the rare people where you actually have to start thinking about how your league is scored. Like, if you play in a 6-point touchdown pass league, I don't think you can be overly
he gets a
optimistic
hit.
about Lamar Jackson.
Right.
But if it's a 4-point league, sure, maybe you could have
I mean,
him
that's
ahead of
not that
others.
big of a difference. It's not. The 2 points?
It could be like a 4 to 6 point difference at the end of the day.
It
That's
could
not
be,
nothing.
But
That's
but you're playing him for the rushing yards and the potential for rushing scores either way. It's the same reason you're playing Dak. Dak scored a rushing touchdown in 5-6 games.
yeah, that's
And
fine.
I
now
know,
he-
but just take the rushing by itself. That's 13 points last week.
Yeah, but I actually
Just that.
trust Dak to like maybe throw the ball 40 times against the Saints.
Oh, I wasn't arguing against Dak. This was all the argument against Philip Rivers.
Yeah, Philip Rivers too good. You don't bench Philip Rivers. Come on now. The guy's gonna be throwing the ball. He has kids to feed. He's like 13 of them.
He has kids. He's got kids.
Anyone else below this? Like, I don't know if I could stomach playing Stafford. I think DraftKings wise is okay.
I can't play Stafford.
What about Josh Allen?
No.
The problem with Stafford,
Josh
right-
Allen scored like 30 points last week. Maybe
He did.
I mean, look,
maybe Lamar Jackson's actually the minor league Josh Allen.
Look, if you're someone who thinks you can play Lamar Jackson and you're sound in the logic you've gotten to play Lamar
Then you
Jackson
can
on
play Josh
DraftKings,
Allen.
then you can play Josh Allen for less because it's the same logic. So that's fine. I would say the problem with Stafford at this point is just that they have realized, rightfully so, that if Stafford doesn't throw the ball in 2 seconds, he's not going to be able to throw the ball. So nothing he does is of any fantasy importance unless he throws a touchdown or someone breaks 6 tackles.
So
Well,
this
it's because the offensive line isn't doing him any
Oh
favors.
yeah,
That's
it's
the problem.
atrocious. Yeah.
So this was really tricky for me. 2021, 22, 23. Baker Mayfield, Carson Wentz, Matt Ryan at 22, who's on pace to break the NFL passing record, by the way,
Yep.
and Colt McCoy, who's in a really nice spot against the Eagles team.
But there's really no quarterback in a bad spot this week. So
Matt Ryan's in the worst spot.
yeah, but what I mean is like most likely if you've been starting Matt Ryan, you drafted a different quarterback of top 12 caliber, so you probably have someone else to go to. But there's like if you own Deshaun Watson, you're not going away from Deshaun Watson. If you own Drew Brees, you're not going away from Drew Brees.
Yeah.
Like there's really not a stream worthy. Like even if you picked up James,
There's one.
Well, there's stream worthy guys, but what I'm saying is like if you picked up not Deshaun Watson, if you picked up Jameis Winston last week, you're probably just going to keep rolling with Jameis.
Yeah, as
Like,
you should.
It's not a week where I think a lot of people are going to be desperately looking for quarterback help on the waiver wire.
This is true because there's no teams on bye.
Yeah.
We're back to your full complement of players again. Who are you going to say?
I was gonna say you skip right past him is Marcus Mariota. In the games now that he's been healthy, when he's been playing, he's been on pace for QB7 numbers. He's back to being Mariota. Not that I want to. I'm just saying. We were saying if you're looking for streamers, I mean there
Yeah.
are some people out there who grabbed Baker Mayfield during that run and maybe had quarterback issues elsewhere, and now are only relying on Baker Mayfield. Going to Houston versus Marcus Mariota, what he's now been doing as healthy. I think I'd go Mariota.
Here's what I'll say about Baker though.
I'm in this exact situation that Jake just pointed out with Baker Mayfield. I went and picked up Dak.
Sure, and that's fine, but I'll say this about Baker. Not that like one performance changed my entire outlook on Baker Mayfield. I'm just all in on the guy right now.
I had inside info that he's too arrogant from someone on Twitter.
Look, he woke up feeling dangerous. Maybe he doesn't wake up feeling dangerous this week. Someone should be monitoring that. But Houston's pass defense looks great on paper. And this kind of goes into their 8-3 record
Does
as
their
well.
pass defense look great on paper?
From a fantasy perspective, they've
it
given
does
up
on paper.
so few points to quarterbacks, but they had a run from like week 4 to this Marcus Mariota game on Sunday night where they faced 4 backup like we're talking about like Brock Lobster, Colt McCoy.
His name is the Brock Ness Monster.
Fine, Brock Ness Monster.
And now he's on a rocket ship back to the bench.
Colt McCoy, Josh Allen, and Nathan Peterman in the same game. Like, they didn't face an NFL caliber quarterback for about 6 weeks. And the 2 times they faced good
you forgot
quarterbacks-
Cody Kessler.
Cody Kessler and Blake Bortles in that game. The
Yep.
2 times
And
they've
Case
actually
Keenum.
faced good quarterbacks. Granted, these are like very, very good quarterbacks in Tom Brady and Andrew Luck. They've been demolished, and they couldn't stop Marcus Mariota yesterday from even not completing a pass. I think Baker Mayfield is perfectly viable against Houston. I'm not scared of this
to your
Houston
point,
defense.
Eli Manning threw for 297 and 2 touchdowns against them at the beginning of the year.
Like they're a secret bad pass defense.
They're a really good run defense.
Well, they got a great
Is the one
defensive
thing
line.
that they
Like
do.
they could sack Baker 7 times, so that's on the table. But they sacked Mariota 7 times last night and didn't really stop him from having a good game. So I'm okay if you've been riding Baker to just keep riding Baker.
Okay, let's go to tight ends. I have Evan Ingram, Charles Clay, Eric Swoop, and Jeff Swaim as probably out. Jack Doyle and Jeff Heerman out for the season. placed on IR. Number 1 in the rankings, Travis Kelce. Number 2, Zach Ertz. Number 3, Eric Ebron James. Number 3.
Ebronix.
Hey, spitting Ebronix. George Kittle, Rob Gronkowski, Greg Olson, David Njoku, Cameron Brate. Jared Cook has been ranked there by Fantasy Pros. And then Jordan Reed. I got Hooper, Herndon, Trey Burton, Kyle Rudolph, Dan Arnold, Vance McDonald, Matt Lacoste, Vernon Davis, Uzma.
Yeah.
McDonald's dealing with a hip injury.
Oh, so they did report that he's probably going to play.
Arnold's actually been limited too, but who even knows? I don't know if they even let us know beforehand who's going to play in those games.
Here's the one I'll make a case for over both of them. And I know you and I talked about them already earlier today, Pat, but I am making the case. And I know I brought it up to you. 8 targets, though, from Jeff Driscoll to CJ Uzomah. I know he only caught 2 of them.
He's back.
But yeah, if you look at this offense and you look at the fact that how much he's on the field, the amount of targets you're seeing from what do we always say about inexperienced and young quarterbacks is that the safety valve, he was already looking to the tight end position. And we assume AJ Green's out again. I'm not excited about it, but at the state of the tight end position, I'll take him over a banged up Vance McDonald, granted, even if he plays, and I'll take him over Arnold getting 16 to 18 snaps for an entire game.
Yeah, but they're all for touchdowns. His snap per touchdown rate is off the charts. He's the new Mark Bo Richter.
He and Gerald Everett are like this.
I mean, what about Mo Alley Cox? Guaranteed 2 touchdowns?
I think Swoop actually practiced today.
Oh, God, no.
So it's going to be back to just being 3 tight end nightmare, but it's Ebron, so it's fine.
Well, Ebron Chalk Week is setting up like it is. He's come through as Chalk every single time.
I love Njoku this week as like a pivot off the Ebron Chalk. It's gonna be fun because everyone's gonna. Oh my God, what's his ownership gonna be this week?
It should be like 60%.
Well, no. How about the fact that Cameron Brate did exactly what we expected him to do? He's got the best tight end matchup of the entire week. There's an easy pivot right there because his price still didn't go up that much.
Yeah. Maybe.
But Nick Vannett didn't catch a touchdown. It's over.
That is true. That is very true. I was waiting for that to come up. But the Panthers have been the absolute worst against tight ends this year.
And that fullback almost scored a touchdown.
Oh, yeah.
You got stuffed at the 1.
What was his name again?
I forget. No one cares. Matt Lacoste. That's the guy. The Lacoste.
That's your pick?
The Lacostitute.
It seemed like a reach for about half a second.
Pay him the bucks. He'll get you the score.
Yeah.
Why not? It's a good matchup. Like
Sure.
Jake Butt's gone. Hierman's gone. You got this guy. He'll be standing there. I guarantee it. Until he like breaks his hip or something.
Hey,
Bad
speaking
news
of your
for Denver.
Hierman.
Hierman.
Yeah, when I had what's his face from Roto World on, now I just had a brain fart. Evan Silva. I joked and I brought up your joke about the I was like, no, you have to pronounce it Hierman, and he couldn't pronounce it for the rest of the show because I think I was being serious.
Gets in your head, really does.
Just pretend like
He
you're
started calling him
Hierman.
Hierman.
Just pretend you're on the Californians.
I
all you need to
know.
do.
I got it.
What are you doing here? Defenses. Chicago, Denver Tap, the best defense to pick up. I actually have streamable quarterbacks and streamable defenses in both my waiver column and the rankings for defenses and tight end and quarterbacks. So you can check those out if you want some playoff matchups. But Denver's the best one. Buffalo,
you can roll with Denver the rest of the way now.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah, they'll be top 5 every single week.
And Detroit's run starts next week.
Yeah. So Chicago, Denver, Buffalo, Tennessee, the Rams, Green Bay, Nolans, Houston, Carolina, Seattle, Kansas City, Indy, Baltimore, Miami. Any defenses you particularly like here this week that I'm not thinking about?
Cross-checking.
People
you have a lot of the same ones.
Yeah, like Buffalo should be really good against Miami, I feel.
Yeah, sure.
Unless that just ends up a mess of a 10-7 game.
I think that's less like last week's script for Jacksonville. I think that's a game where there's just going to be a lot more sacks.
Miami's viable at home against Buffalo, too.
Yeah.
Josh Allen takes sacks.
Dolphins
I will say
have a
that
terrible pass rush, though.
The flip side of it, where I don't even see him on the now. I think I might even have him beside the top 50, maybe even pushing the top 12. I know I pointed out earlier why I like Josh Doxson, but if you want to talk about a team that can get after the quarterback, that's offense now has
Philly
most
D?
of their. I'm just saying the offensive line is almost gone for the Redskins, and it is Colt McCoy, who is more aggressive than Alex Smith, but not in a good way because we saw him throw the picks last week. I'm just saying, It's not one I want, but if you're digging deeper for that, hey, we could get a couple interceptions, a couple sacks, and surprise you, it would be the Eagles defense.
Philly or Kansas City D at Oakland?
Still Kansas City, just because I think Oakland's going to be passing the ball so much.
Yeah, they're
Like,
kind of in that
I think
same-
D Ford could have like 2.5 sacks in that game.
Philly or Indianapolis at Jacksonville?
Still probably.
I might actually take
Indeed.
Philly.
That's close.
You know
though.
what though? In like to Jake's point, Philadelphia probably has a higher ceiling than Indianapolis does. It's not as if Indy's pass rush has been overly fantastic the last like 6 weeks. Like they're a team that's
Right.
still top 10 in adjusted sack rate, but they're probably closer to like 20th over the last 5
Is that-
weeks.
I'd be hesitant for the Eagles if you get easy negative points for your defense. That's what you have to worry about.
Yeah, most leagues don't have that though. We have a super rule in our league that you playing with me.
Yeah.
You get -10. That's what you get.
But you also get
After
return yardage. So
Yes,
it
but
makes for some weird
it's 1
stuff.
point for every 50 yards of return.
Yeah.
It's not. Some leagues play with 1 yard every 10 return.
That's crazy.
Like, that's insane. Just
Well, that makes like Tyler Lockett like a top 10 wide
oh, yeah,
receiver.
Jakeem Grant is the best. I mean, think about how good Tyreek Hill would be.
Yeah, you could have picked. Yeah, I would say you could pick
He'd
up
be
the
the first
Chiefs.
pick in the
Yeah,
draft.
exactly.
So is it Philly at Washington or Philly versus Washington? I forget.
I think it's in Philly, is it not?
Is it in Philly, Jake?
What the game? Oh yeah, I didn't hear what your question was. Yeah, it's in Philly this week.
Yeah. There we go.
Monday Night Football.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
God.
Fun times.
It has to be an NFC East matchup every 3 weeks. It's contract.
Yeah, I mean, one of the primetime games is just going to be an NFC East matchup, or at least featuring an NFC East team. 2 of the primetime games this week feature 3 of the NFC East teams are playing in primetime this week.
Right. Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Do you think Dallas beats New Orleans?
No.
I don't either.
Nope.
Okay, yeah, we're all on the same page on that.
What's the line in that game?
7.
That seems fair.
I'd still take New Orleans.
Oh, sure, I would too, but I was just wondering how much respect they were giving the Cowboys.
Yeah, that's 7 on the road.
Also
That's
having
a-
to factor in that they are still a very public team.
and it's a home game for
And
Dallas.
it's a home game for
and
Dallas.
they've looked good.
Yeah. I still think 7's that's a fair number though.
Do you think that Michael Thomas will be shut down in this game?
No.
No.
Look, Byron's a good corner, but
But Byron plays outside a lot too.
yeah. That's true. Michael Thomas just moved to the slot at some points. I
Slot
can't.
flanker.
He's got so much volume in this offense on a consistent basis. I can't
Not
see him
last
having
week,
2 bad
Garion.
weeks. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Should I start Austin Carr over Michael Thomas?
Yes.
You should.
Yes.
Absolutely.
What if you could just have Traquan, Michael Thomas, and then there's just some random other player that's Saints' other receivers? How good would that player be?
That'd be
bad.
awesome.
Yeah.
Because you left out
good
Tommy
player.
Lee Lewis, who they came back immediately off the IR and was like, let's get him involved.
Yeah, and then
And,
Kirkwood
Kirkwood,
got
yeah.
his touchdown.
Kirkwood got his too.
Not big on Kirkwood this week.
Nah, gotta ease off on the Kirkwood stuff.
I had a bit too much Kirkwood going through the system last week. Gotta take more of a pensive approach towards that. Anyway, thank you all for listening. Garion Thorne, Pimp Your Works.
Yeah, you can try and find my podcast. I'm not really going to promote it, but you can try and find it. All the stuff that you'd want to read is on DK Playbook. I do these showdown slates for Thursdays and Monday nights, and catch my DK Live.
And inventor of the Band Kickers movement, Pat Mayo, at the PME on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Jake, take it away.
All right, whatever. Yeah, you know where to follow me at I have to say it like you, Athletic. And actually, hey, I never do this for your show. Go to theathletic.com/all-in-sports and you don't pay full price. I don't know why I don't tell everybody.
You should
30%
that
off.
that
but
is definitely something that you should tell people.
I think so as well. So yes, it's very simple. It's the podcast name. It's the Patreon name. It's All In Sports, /All In Sports. Very simple. You go there, save money. And yes, you can still get the t-shirts. So you go to RotoWire. Or RotoWire, not Wire.
Yeah, RotoWire, not RotoWire. Don't go to RotoWire.
Yeah,
mean,
don't go to
fine.
RotoWire.
Yeah, you
Ever.
Evan needs the support.
Go to RotoWire if you want to play for player news.
That is
That's what you can do at RotoWire. They have some nice guys over there.
They do.
I'm not paying for that shit. Come on now. Come on.
If you ever want to see somebody rage out on Twitter, yeah, you can watch what's his face? Not Erickson, the other one. He gets he's like Andercust.
Liss. Liss is the best.
Yeah,
Oh,
thank you,
Chris
Chris
Liss,
Liss.
yeah.
I can't think of his name.
I will give a special shout out to the East Coast Offense podcast, Dalton and Liss. It's a very good listen. It's just Liss being mad for like 90 minutes. It's fantastic. And Dalton rules, so it really helps. Anyway, I'm Pat Mayo. You can follow me at the PME on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. If you want to get in the draw for 20 DK bucks, there's 2 ways to do it this week. 1, smash that like button on the way out. Break your screen by smashing it so much. Then leave your DraftKings handle in the comment section. And if Marlon Mack sits, presume let's live in a world where Marlon Mack is not playing, then please tell me where you would rank either Naheem Hines or Jordan Wilkins. Which one would be higher, and where would you rank them in the running back rankings? Or, for something much easier, just leave a review with your DraftKings handle. A 5-star review. Say something nice about the show. You can say something mean about Garion if you'd like. I don't really care. Just say nice things about me. That's what I'm concerned about. 5 stars, leave your DraftKings handle, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, whatever it is, wherever you listen to the audio podcast. If you don't, please go subscribe. But you can get into a draw for 20 DK dollars. I will announce the winners on Monday's show. All right? The ranks are up. Description, DK Playbook. Doesn't matter. I'll be back later this week with Cust, Jeff. I got Joe Holka on for the DraftKings picks. Jeff Ulrich on Friday. Me, Garion, and Cust Sunday live, 10 a.m. All right? Good luck in week 13. I'll see you next time.
That Mayo experience! Experience!